Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first ever live episode of Torch Sports. I'm Jackson Schock alongside the Orange Zone crew, Zach Pelfrey, Colton Pennington, subbing in for Luke Attal. We've got Luke Lamery. Let's jump right in, why don't we? We start by taking a look at the Vols season as a whole. Obviously, it did not go as planned against Purdue. We'll stick with it. Tennessee finished the year 27-10. They were the outright SEC regular season champions for the third time in program history, and they made it to the Elite Eight for only the second time in program history. Now, speaking of athletes, Dalton Knecht won SEC Player of the Year, Transfer Player of the Year. He's an All-American, and he's a nominee for the National Player of the Year. And don't forget, Zakai Ziegler also won Defensive Player of the Year. It was a good group of guys, those two especially. So, with that being said, between all the accolades, all the achievements, all the awards that this team has received, what were your takeaways? I mean, just generally, what were your takeaways? You watched the end of the season. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, this was the best Tennessee basketball team we've ever had. I mean, point blank, period. I mean, like you said, Elite Eight appearance for the second time in a row and a regular season SEC championship. I mean, we have Dalton Knecht, who arguably put together the best season in Vol basketball history. I mean, there's just so many things that we're going to look back on the season in 10 years and say, wow, this was one of the best seasons that we've ever seen Tennessee basketball have. And yeah, I'm just so excited for this going forward. But also, and as we'll talk about later, we lose a lot of guys going forward. But I think this season is just it was so amazing to watch. I know it didn't end how we expected it to, but Purdue's a great team, and I'm really, really excited with the way this season went.
Absolutely, and might I add that you called that this would be the best Tennessee team ever, and I think you said point blank period. So congratulations, Zach. What were your takeaways of this year?
I mean, I think this has to be the best Tennessee team that we've seen in a very, very long time, besides that 2010 run with Bruce Pearl. But making it to the Final Four making it to the Elite Eight, having a chance to go to the Final Four was a great achievement by Rick Barnes and this team, and Dalton Knecht, just leading us. This has really been a historic season for the Vols, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Anything to add, Luke?
Yeah, I got to agree with you guys. This is the best Tennessee team we've seen, honestly. And I'm going to go in a different direction though. I think Rick, my thing is that Rick Barnes right now is just one of the greatest coaches that we've seen. And, through all of our inconsistencies this season, I mean, the ups, the downs, the injuries. I mean, he's maintained his composure, and he got us to an Elite Eight. So it was fantastic to see for us, really.
Absolutely. Now let's go down memory lane a little bit. Favorite moment? You get to pinpoint a lot of fun memories, some not so fond. What was your favorite moment from this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game against Creighton is the moment that we'll look back on and say, wow, I think that was one of the best games we've seen Tennessee play maybe ever. I mean, to go against that team, I was a huge fan of Creighton. I actually picked them to beat us in that game.
Same.
But we just came out. I mean, I know Dalton Knecht, Zakai Ziegler, Josiah James shot 50% from three. We played unbelievable defense against one of the best offensive teams in the entire country. And just looking back on that game, I mean, that is what Tennessee is about. It was a gritty, hard-nosed win. Creighton couldn't get anything going the whole time. They cut back on the lead. They tied it a couple times there in the second half. We were eventually able to pull it out. Dalton Knecht had another great game. And so when I look back on this season in the future, that's going to be the game I think wow, that was such an unbelievable performance, and it allowed us to get the second Elite Eight in program history.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember not being from Tennessee. I'm like the spokesperson for anyone Tennessee, and all my friends back home in Ohio were watching it like, yo, no way, as if I'm the coach. Felt good, though. Luke, favorite moment, what you got?
I'm going to go, regular season. I think my favorite moment was the Kentucky game. We dropped 100 on Kentucky in Rupp Arena. Just fantastic. I think that might have been our peak regular season moment there. Everybody got the ball around. Josiah Jordan-James dropped 26 along with Ziegler. It was just great to see. We were like a well-oiled machine out there. Got to be one of my favorite moments, just seeing that number hit the 100 mark. Got to be one of mine.
Dominant. Someone played with our sliders if we're talking 2K. Zach, go ahead.
We've talked about Dalton Knecht so much on this show, but if any game could symbolize what he is, it has to be the Auburn game. With the game, going into the second half, 12 minutes left, Tennessee's down 63-55. The game's slipping away, momentum switching towards Auburn. Dalton Knecht puts the game on his back, scores 25 points in 12 minutes, outscores Auburn with 21, finishes with a season high of 39 points at that time.
Right.
But, I mean, great game. That was probably the most electrifying game I've been in Thompson-Boling Arena.
I'd say an underrated moment, in addition to anything we could say about Dalton Knecht, would be the fact that, that first Michigan State game where we were like, oh, dude, this guy can hoop. This kid from Colorado is a hooper. I think that's an underrated. Everyone kind of was like, oh, this season's we're going to be good. We're going to be really good. I don't think anyone knew that he would be the transfer of the year, the SEC Player of the Year, and a nominee for the Player of the Year. But still, I think that's an underrated moment. Now let's go beginning to end. When we look at the tournament, and we'll ignore the SEC tournament, that was obviously scrubbed from everyone's memory. We can't ignore that one. Let's focus more on the tournament we just watched in the March Madness series of events everywhere. I mean, fortunately, it was a good layout. Talk to us about kind of your, again, feelings. This is kind of like a closing episode of your feelings of the
So we
tournament.
have, Creighton. I mean, sorry, not Creighton. St. Peter's.
Yeah.
We have St. Peter's first, and that kind of shows us that Tennessee is, the team. They believed in themselves. They go out and they stomp St. Peter's. It wasn't even close. It's a guy's brother, though. That was a good moment,
was
little
sick.
tribute.
That was really cool.
Then we go into Texas. That game was very, very rough. Shot 3 for 25 from 3, just under 12%. It was a gritty win. But I liked how when we weren't making it from 3, we got in, we gave the ball and said, hey, Dalt, hey, Ziegler, go in, get under the basket, get to the line. That's how we were able to win that game. Creighton, like you were saying, great, gritty win. Summarize the season as a whole. Now Purdue. It was almost inevitable. We were going to meet them, and we can't stop the free throw merchant of Zach Edey,
Yep.
I mean, I could breathe on him and there'd be a foul called. It was unfortunate, but I still think this was a great run by the Vols, and I look to see what's happening in the Final Four.
Absolutely. A fun tournament at that. Go ahead.
Overall, I'm content with it. We stomped St. Peter's. It was a little bit of a rough game against Texas. We handled Creighton. But, once we got past St. Peter's, I feel like people kind of put a question mark on us. Like, can we get past Texas? Can we get past Creighton? And so I'm very happy that we were able to get past them and get ourselves to an Elite Eight here. I think that was fantastic. But, am I upset that we're not in the Final Four? Yes. But, at the end of the day, we did better than some people thought we would. So I'm very content.
Absolutely. And also, I wanted to add to that, I think everyone's realistic expectations were, all right, let's get to the Final Four. I think that, yes, a championship is nice, but when you got UConn, you got Purdue, and you got all those guys that are just ridiculous, everyone's looking like, all right, let's make a Final Four. Obviously, don't do that, but we get the next best thing. That's a nice tribute. What do you think of the tournament, Colton?
Yeah, like you said, I think I'm content with it. That's exactly what I expected to happen. Purdue is just a juggernaut. I think they're probably the second best team in the country, maybe the best behind UConn, especially the way they played in this tournament. We haven't had any matches for big men all year, and we go up against the best one. And I just think it was a tough matchup. I didn't expect us to win that game, but I thought we put together a valiant effort. Dalton Connect, he had 37 points. He shot unbelievable from the field. We shot great from 3, but Zach Edey was just too much for us, and that's what I expected. But I think every Tennessee fan should be happy with the way we played. I think we played really good.
Now, that puts a bow on this season. Let's look forward. Obviously, we got to see guys like JP putting up really good numbers, or not necessarily really good numbers, but fighting hard against the best player in the nation, who will be the best. Toby Awaka, really good tournament. We get to Zakai for another year. What do you guys think we have to look forward to, or maybe that we need to be worried about going into next season?
Well, I think we need to first wait till the transfer portal's over, because we're going to hit the portal pretty hard. We've got at least 3 or 4 scholarships open, with only one freshman coming in, Bishop Boswell. But I expect us to try and at least get as close as we can to replicate DK's scoring. I don't think we'll be able to do that, but just get a really, really good player in the portal that can go in, play really good, and then I expect us to get maybe a traditional 3 or 4 to replace Josiah Jordan James. But I'll hold off my opinions for next season after we see what we do in the portal, because I think that's going to dictate just how successful we are next season.
Absolutely.
I feel like the elephant in the room here, Dalton Connect's not coming back, and people are upset about it. But at the end of the day, we've got a starting 5 that can handle business. Okay, we've got guys out there that can take care of these big teams, and we have that to look forward to. But we have to see again what happens after the transfer period. But at the end of the day, we have guys out there. Just because DK is gone doesn't mean there's a damper mood on next season. We have a lot to look forward to with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to say that's the mood currently, where everybody's kind of down, like, oh, we're losing Dalton Connect, we're losing our best player, But I'd like to see some of these guys step up. Cameron Carr, he did hit that 3 against, was it Creighton?
Yes.
Creighton. He hit that 3 against Creighton. That kind of boosted his confidence. We had Estrella. He got some minutes in. I like to see him a lot next season, especially how he matched up against Zach Edey. I know he didn't get a lot of points and really stop him a lot, but he played more physical and gave him a run for his money as much as he could have. But I like the new guys coming in. But like you guys were saying, the portal, got to hit it hard, because we need that too that can come in and score.
Okay, well, we don't have the time to go through our whole March Madness spiel in the Final Four, but in 3 words, who is your winner this year, and why is it UConn? And if it's not UConn, you can have some more leeway. Zach, you go ahead.
UConn beats Purdue.
There we go.
The exact same thing. I think Edey has a shot against UConn if he can have a good game, but I think UConn's the best team by far.
UConn and?
UConn are powerhouse. They are powerhouse. That's 4. Anyway, okay.
UConn are powerhouse. I'm going to go NC State because I like the underdog and because I got to make the graphic.
DJ Burns.
DJ Burns. There we go. I like that. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for this Orange Zone segment. Thank you so much for watching for Jackson, Zach, Colton, and Luke. We're going to see you right back here next week. Enjoy the rest of the college basketball season. We only have one weekend left, and we'll see you later. Peace.
Hey, 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 go there. 15, 14, 13.
It is a sad day here in Studio 40. A very sad day. My name is Lucas Panzica. That's Malcolm Harris. You know who we are. My partner in crime. It's our last show together.
What's up,
down here,
baby?
man.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right, but I'm not all right.
I'm all right, but I'm not all right either, man. It's the final show. I am a senior, graduating senior as of December 9th, 2016, and I am from Conyers, Georgia. And the show with the volunteer channel I represent is Sports Mecca. And with Sports Mecca, we are UT's best sports show. We talk about topics that are hot in the sports world right now.
Alabama wins 54-16, their third straight SEC championship.
My role with Sports Mecca is essentially I'm on-air talent. Sanctions 3 years ago now to Big Ten champs. I don't care if they made it in the playoff or not. What a job by James Franklin.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay. Well, at other schools and other universities, this isn't provided. This is the volunteer channel is an outlet for students to get professional experience, feed into tendencies and traits that will make you a better professional for tomorrow. My best friend, he goes to the University of Georgia. They don't have this. You know, they don't have a show where they can just be themselves. They can bring their original personality and make magic. And here at the University of Tennessee, through the volunteer channel, we have that. And to me, it's priceless. I can't put a price tag on this.
All right. I was dreading this part of the show, but I guess we got to get to it eventually. Malcolm, what do you want to say, man? Last show after the last 2 years.
Last show, man. You know, I just really want to thank all the Sports Mecca family for what you've done. I told myself that it was going to be a very emotional day for me today. You know, from Clint Elmore in the back to, you know, we got Skip, we got Brad, my executive producer, director, Danny, I love you so much. I really, you don't know how much you've done for me.
My name is Adam Crabtree. I'm a senior here at the University of Tennessee. I am majoring in journalism, electronic media. I'm one of the executive producers on Vol Talk, and I'm also a member of the commercial production unit. How professional it is like the biggest surprise, because this is all a bunch of students coming in here. You know, we have faculty members that like advise us, but at the same time, it's all student ran. Every decision's made, it's made by the students, and how professional the atmosphere is. At the same time, it's still enjoyable and fun. It's a great learning experience. What's up? What's up? I've always enjoyed being on the sets. It's always like a second home to me. I always feel at home. This is what I want to do. I started out as like an audio guy. I was in charge of making sure all the guests were mic'd properly and the levels were appropriate.
Hey Justin, can you count to 10 for me?
Did that for about a year, and then like my third semester, started in a producing role and just helping out with during the set, like making sure all the cameras were where they needed to be, and we had all the materials we needed for each show. The executive producer now, we're making sure the whole show's ready to go. And just to be able to step into like more of a leadership role and actually take on the responsibilities of getting the show off the ground has been kind of stressful at times, but it's been a great experience to learn this here. besides going out in the real world and just like being thrown in the fire and not having any background or any experience beforehand. To know how to like conduct myself in a professional environment while still maintaining having fun and getting the job done is something that I probably could not have replicated anywhere else on campus.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's edition of Rocky Talk. I'm your host, Sophie Starkey, joined by Jordan Smitherman and Jay King. So today we're going to talk a little bit of NHL and MLB. Starting off with NHL, the Preds are on a hot streak right now. What has been the 180 for them so far in the last month and a half? Jordan, what do you think?
I don't really know. I can't really pinpoint something specific to describe their 180, but it's truly been something special. I mean, they have lost 3 straight, but they went on one of the most killer runs in March. I mean, they went from being on the outskirts of the playoffs to being in the first wild card spot in the West. And if the playoffs started today, they would be the 7th seed and the top wild card team, and their matchup would be against the Vancouver Canucks. And then from a span of February 17th to March 26th, they won 16 out of their 18 games, with their only 2 losses being 4-3 overtime losses. And they had an 18-game point streak, which set a new franchise record. And keep in mind, this team was a team at the franchise deadline that people thought were tanking. They're like, oh yeah, like the Preds are tanking, like let's go, this is what we need to do. But now you look here and it's just like, oh my gosh, the Preds are gonna make a playoff, like let's go Preds and stuff. And their core star players in Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi have been playing at a high level, and they also lead the team. They're first and second in points scored, which is amazing because your star players need to perform on a run like this. And this team is filled with lots of new players, and it's under a new regime with a new coach in Andrew Burnett and their new general manager in Barry Trotz. And I just really think this is a breath of fresh air for the Preds, and I just think it's all coming together right now. I don't know what started it, but I'm loving to see it, and I think as long as they keep it up, they're going to be good, and they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Jay, what you think?
Yeah, we just proved we were one of the best teams in the NHL with this streak. I mean, we can go out and beat anyone. Like we had an impressive resume on that streak too. We beat the defending champs Golden Knights twice. We beat the LA Kings. We beat the Colorado Avalanche. I was there at that game, by the way. We beat the Stanley Cup runner-ups and the Florida Panthers, who are one of the best teams in the league right now, and the Winnipeg Jets. And I mean, you could really make an argument that this is Philip Forsberg's best season. I mean, 84 points, 41 goals, and a plus 16 rating. He was our all-star this year. And he's perfect on that line with Gustav Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly. And we have a perfect mix of veterans and young players. Like the veterans, Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi, UC Saros. And then we have our newer veterans who weren't on the team long ago, but like Ryan McDonough, Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist. And then we have a bunch of young players too, like Tommy Novak, Luke Evangelista, Kiefer Sherwood, Michael McCarron. And I think it's just the beginning of the Preds being a great team in the league. We are definitely built for the future, and I think Barry Trotz was an unbelievable hire. David Poile knew when to step down, and then just getting Barry Trotz was almost a miracle for us. And we got Andrew Burnett from the Devils. He's been an unreal coach so far, and I'm loving how we are looking for the future.
Yeah, great time to be a Preds fan. So switching over to a little MLB, VFL Trey Lipscomb just made his debut with the Washington Nationals. How are we feeling about his performance and then his future there, Jordan?
I'm so proud of him, and I'm so impressed. So first of all, being 23 and making it to the major leagues in less than 2 years is quite impressive. Like, we know Lipscomb's career with the Vols, the first 3 years he wasn't really that much of a star, but then senior year he blew up, led the team in home runs, and was just a star. So like, I personally didn't think he would be called up this soon, but it's great for him. And he made his debut in the show, like he made a name for himself because he was the first player in Nationals history to get a base hit as well as steal a base in his debut. And he hit his first major league home run in his next game. So he's only been in the MLB for like 3 games and already has a home run. Like, that's pretty good. And he also showed up on the defensive end as well by recording the final out of the game in a comeback victory. So I would say the future is looking bright for the VFL.
Yeah. Jay?
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals are a very young team right now. They got rid of their World Series winning core, and then I think Trey Lipscomb is going to be one of the main headliners from that core. It's great to see some of the players from the Vitello era coming up to the majors now. I think it's so far just him in the major leagues. It's him and Garrett Crochet, but there are a lot more to come soon. I mean, he's a hometown hero. That's what a lot of people are forgetting to talk about. He's a hometown hero from Frederick, Maryland, just an hour outside of D.C.
So that was great to see. And I mean, he's been playing very well so far. I mean, in a short stint, 1044 OPS, 429 on-base percentage, I think that is great.
Yeah, so for sure. We love seeing our VFLs succeed. So on that topic, is there any other former ball that you think is really making a splash in the minor leagues and has a shot at making an impact? Jordan?
Okay, so I think Drew Gilbert is the popular answer, the obvious answer, because he's one of the top prospects with the Mets. But I also think Chase Dollander could be another one as well. I know this is his first year in the MLB, and he was just with us last year, but he was a top draft pick for the Rockies in the top 10, and he's one of their top prospects. And I think he has a bright future. So I think as long as he continues to show up and just give effort, then he can make his rank up to the major leagues, and before we know it, he could be in the MLB.
Yeah. Jay?
Yeah, I think Chase Dollander and Drew Gilbert are great picks too, but I wanna shed some light on Ben Joyce. I mean, he just throws nothing but heat. No curveball, no changeup, just straight gas. And he's on the LA Angels right now, and if you know the Angels, they love to call up prospects as soon as possible. And I mean, he'll be great pitcher in the bullpen, and he has the college record of fastest pitch of all time. I think he could break that in MLB. He's gonna be one of the hardest throwing pitchers just coming out the gate.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's edition of Rocky Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Next up, we've got Allie at the Summit to discuss a little women's basketball.
My name is Micah Carr, and I'm a junior here at the University of Tennessee, and I'm a producer for Vol Talk and also the director of operations for the Volunteer Channel.
Talked about on the show, so really excited to see what you have to say about what you've done.
I would say that everyone should join the Volunteer Channel if they ever get the chance to come to the University of Tennessee, especially anyone that's interested in journalism, broadcast, video production, filmmaking, because this is your opportunity in college to see if it's something that you're even interested in. I mean, I came in with zero experience with this at all, but I found a passion in it. And it's just crazy to hear so many people say, well, I'm not really involved in anything on campus, and they're journalism majors, and they're still confused on what they want to do. I think this is a great opportunity to at least see if you want to do it or if you don't. And you learn so much. You learn a lot about pre-production, and then you have to learn a lot about the production in general. How do we work the cameras? How do we set up the audio? How do we work the switcher? How do we load clips? I mean, there's so much that goes into it that people just don't think about. Hey, Adam, can you get it to where I can hear our Hot Topics folks? Yeah. I've learned that it's okay to be a woman, especially a woman of color, and know your stuff. I think that it's encouraged me to be more educated on any industry that I join, because I'm not really sure what it is I want to do when I graduate yet, but I want other people to know that it's possible to gain status and power and hierarchy in any organization or company that you work for.
Hello, Vol Nation, and welcome to The Summit. I'm your host, Allison Seaton, and I'm here with Alexi Cohen, Caitlin Gill, and Alexis Ruma. We are here to talk about everything that has happened with the Lady Vols this season and as of late, and as well as discussing the Final Four women's tournament. I'm going to start us off with the most recent news that has come from the Lady Vols, which is Coach Kelly Harper being fired on April Fool's Day. Did y'all see this coming? Do you think it was long overdue? And do you see any possible replacements?
I definitely thought about it. I did see it coming. I did not see it coming on April Fool's. That was kind of a low blow. Just imagine getting fired on April Fool's and being like, oh, I see. And they're like, no. Like, that would just, I feel bad for her. I do.
Yeah.
And I hate to see her go. I love the ties she had to the university. And I feel like we always do kind of hire UT connections, but I have a feeling that won't happen this go round. But I don't know. But I agree with the firing. We were not keeping up to the high caliber standing that we usually do. We weren't keeping up with the Pat Summitt era, you know, especially seeing like the South Carolina buzzer beater.
Oh my gosh.
That just kind of hinted to me. I was like, wow. So that kind of gave me the hint that it was coming.
Caitlin? That is exactly the direction I was going. First, with the high caliber, we haven't had a Final Four appearance since 2008.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time, and I know in this climate of women's basketball, it's tough. But we've had stars. We literally had Jordan Horston and Rickea Jackson last year, heartbreaker Sweet 16. And this year, we had no better luck in tournament play. SEC. We were up by 2 points with 1.1 seconds left.
How?
No one covers the three. It was our first career three. A 6'7" girl.
And we
first
stood
career
there.
three. We stood
And
there.
watched.
And that just, I don't know if it was negligence on Kelly Harper's part about not pushing to the last second, but you simply cannot let that happen. And then NC State, we were trailing. We caught up, 3 minutes left, down by 2, and you blow it. You get another foul, and you're out of contention. I don't know if that's on the coach in integrity or with the players, but you got a lot of talent leaving next year. And speaking of people replacements, it's not going to happen. I wish. Candace Parker, she also had something to say. She's like, how do you not guard a three? And that's the energy we need on our coaching staff. So Candace Parker, I know you make a bag in broadcast, but we need you, girl.
Yeah, I mean, you never like to see anyone get fired, especially someone who has as many personal ties as Kelly Harper does. I mean, she won 3 championships with us as a Lady Vol player. And then back to what you were saying, Alexi, like I feel like we always like want to hire someone who, you know, has a personal tie to UT or, you know, had some relationship with Pat Summitt. But I think the best way to honor her legacy is by just focusing on focusing on someone who will bring us back those national championships rather like regardless of that personal tie. So I think and hope we focus on that. And also, like you said, I do appreciate that it shows the standard that we are keeping as Lady Vols, and I love that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's a perfect segue for me. I think we should discuss the Lady Vols performance as a whole for March Madness. What stood out to y'all the most, and what do you wish to have changed besides the, you know, the buzzer beater 3? Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
There's not much to say. I mean, they only played 2 games. But it made me feel a bit better that the second loss was to NC State, who's now in the Final Four. That made me feel a bit better. But what you were going back to, we only lost by 7. We were down. We came back. That was kind of a heartbreaker. I don't think we necessarily did bad. I mean, for Pat Summitt standing, we did awful. But we didn't necessarily do bad, but we did have a tough bracket of the NC State. Right in the middle. That was hard. But I feel like we just needed more girls to step up. I mean, we had seniors that just weren't getting points. What are we going to do without Rickea Jackson? That's kind of how it is. I feel in both men's and women's for us. What are we going to do without our 1-star player? That can't be an issue if you're winning a national title.
And the issue is Rickea's gone.
Yeah.
She's done. She put up 33 points in that game against NC State, 14 in the second half, literally did all she could. But you got to have other players to rely on. You can't, they're gone. And she's not the only one gone. Jasmine Powell, guard, gone. And now Tamari Key, I didn't know if she'd declare, but she did. She did. So I don't know how you level up after this season.
Yeah, we definitely do need that depth. And I mean, honestly, against NC State, it was what hurt me the most was that we were down by 20. We get within 2, 65-63, but then we just kind of let it. Yep, that's kind of the story how it's been. We, you know, try to be a comeback team, and I just wish that we would have put more pressure on at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when it comes to the Final Four, you guys are segueing me perfectly into everything. I love it. Love this.
You're welcome.
We have NC State versus South Carolina, and then we have Iowa versus UConn. When it comes to these matchups, what are you looking for to come from these teams, and who do you want to be in the Final 2 since Tennessee Well, like,
Long gone.
Yeah, long gone.
Well, I want to see South Carolina and Iowa in the championship. What I'm looking for in that regard, on each side, both two games, I want to see who can lock Caitlin Clark up because she's unstoppable. You know, I was watching the LSU Iowa game, and they were down at the half. And I just thought this is going to be where she slips up. This is going to be where it all goes downhill. This is going to be the end of her. And they did an interview at halftime, and she was just smiling, just carrying on. She didn't have a worry in the world. And that, I think, is what makes her stand out, is that she doesn't play off of emotion, but she keeps going. She don't have time to stop. And so we're going to have to, or South Carolina, whoever, is going to have to frazzle her in a way. But I don't think they will. I think they'll make it all the way.
And I think that's a good testament to how team cultured that team is. The coach, so supportive of Caitlin.
Yes.
They have other girls they can go to. And what I'm most excited for is this Iowa-UConn matchup because you have star power Caitlin Clark and you have Paige Beckers. And these two, it's not their first time meeting. It's actually their second time in the NCAA tournament. Last time, Sweet 16, both were freshmen. And here's where it's poetic. So Paige, her freshman year, takes UConn, they end up winning the championship. She wins Player of the Year. Now you have Caitlin Clark. She's won Player of the Year 2 times in a row now, and she's looking for her first ring. So this is going to be intense. Caitlin put up 44 points against LSU. But Paige is also averaging 28 points and 8 rebounds every game. So this is star-studded. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would love to see NC State and Iowa. First, NC State because, I mean, I think South Carolina is like the most balanced team. They're the best team, so I'd love to see an upset. And we got Sanaya Rivers on NC State. She transferred from South Carolina, so if she comes in with that, like, I have something to prove mentality, I mean, they might give South Carolina a run for their money.
I mean, NC State being in makes me, like, feel a lot better about Tennessee, like y'all mentioned. So, I mean.
And you got 2 programs with both men's and women's in the Final Four. So I personally want UConn or NC State. I think that'd be a cool finish.
Would be wild.
Only 3rd time that ever happened.
I also will say though, like, it would mean so much, like, to the Iowa and the fan base. Like, that would be so awesome after this historic run that they've had all season, just to cap it off with the championship. And also, with Caitlin Clark's play versus LSU, what's most intriguing to me was her 12 assists. Like, she's showing she has confidence in her other teammates when she could, you know, while still putting up 41 points. Like,
she doesn't do it all. She gives it away a lot.
They have presence.
I think that's really good.
Everywhere.
A good thing to have in a player is like not someone that just wants all of it, wants to help their teammates grow and succeed and win as well.
And quick thing about the drama you were talking about. Let's go back to Caitlin Clark. UConn was actually her dream school. So this is a revenge game. She has like a caricature.
Yeah, they didn't even
in a
talk to
UConn
her.
jersey. They never even recruited her out of high school.
I know.
And UConn's
But Iowa
coach,
followed them everywhere. Followed her everywhere.
Yeah. And UConn's coach actually, at the beginning of the tournament, said Paige is the best player in the country. Once they saw Iowa's matchup for the Final Four, he retracted that and said, yeah, Paige isn't the best. I don't know why I said that. Forget that. Caitlin's the best player in history. And give your girl credit, but don't just your own while you're doing that. That is unbelievable.
He's worried for what's coming.
Yeah,
for him.
Caitlin's intimidating everyone, especially Kim Mulkey.
Yeah. But I think Iowa winning would be kind of a way to pay homage to Caitlin Clark for what she's done for the women's basketball industry. I mean, I've never been more invested in a women's basketball game.
WNBA's got a future next year.
And it's not going anywhere. It's,
I hope the views keep racking up for her.
All right, you guys. I think that wraps us up here at the Summit. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a good night and go Vols.